It's going to be a blend of strategies that help you reach all of the people. So, I've just seen, I've been on every single person's website. I've been on every single person's Facebook page, venue, musician, everything. As with life, the inconsistencies are great. Some are a lot better than others. And, if anyone's struggling with their music program, it's definitely because of promotion. And that's the bottom line.
Welcome to Well Said, Finger Lakes, the podcast where we speak with businesses, organizations, and interesting people from in and around the Finger Lakes region of New York State. My name is Jeremiah Craig, and we're here at the live room at Well Said Media. And our guest today is musician and founder of FLXmusic247.com, Janelle Bradshaw. Welcome, Janelle. How's it going?
Good, Jeremiah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming into the studio. We know that you're based in Geneva, so that's quite a drive. But I understand that you have a show in the area today, so we're kind of making it worth the trip.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll be playing tonight with Dwayne Perry and friends in the What's Cookin' organization with a lot of local musicians to play jazz at the downstairs tonight. So it's nice to be here in Ithaca.
Yes, and the Finger Lakes region is so vibrant for music. There's so many people doing so many different things. But I would like to start out, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your career in music, as what you say, you're a Finger Lakes lifer on your website.
I'm a Finger Lakes lifer. I grew up here in the Finger Lakes area. I attended public schools. I went away for a little bit to college and studied music there, but not full time, and came back to the Finger Lakes and was able to continue my musical career in community groups, mostly like the Auburn Chamber Orchestra and the Finger Lakes Concert Band. And throughout the years, I've played with a variety of groups, including the Greater Finger Lakes Jazz Orchestra, which I'm still currently a member, and the Seneca Falls Community Band, and we have a brass quintet, and then there's jazz jams, and then there's high school musicals. And so throughout the year, and don't forget church. So throughout the year, I'm playing in multiple genres every year, and have for most of my life here in the area.
Wow, so you're staying busy in addition to everything that you're already doing with FLXmusic247.com.
Definitely. It's, one's fun and one's funner.
No doubt. What makes this music scene in this area unique from other places that you may have been to?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I spent most of my adult life in a career, which will remain unnamed.
Uh-oh.
But when you're working a full-time job, raising a family and such, you don't really see but glimpses of what's happening in the area. Mm-hmm. And since I started FLX Music 247, my eyes have become open to what the music scene is around here. And it's amazing. Just for reference, in the last 2 years, I've listed over 35,000 live music events.
Wow.
Now, this doesn't include any city except for Ithaca. All the rest of the places, there's no Rochester events on there. There's no Syracuse events. Everything else is just the rectangle from, Ithaca and Watkins up to Lake Ontario. And that really blows me away, the amount of music that's going on each and every week here in the Finger Lakes.
Yes.
Most people would never suspect.
I know, but looking at FLXmusic247.com, you have just a list on a calendar. So you could click the calendar and then it just sort of folds down and you see everything that's going on. So when you say 35,000 shows in this area over 2 years, that blows my mind.
And that doesn't include professional shows either, like what happens at Del Lago or what happens at the State Theater or Hangar Theater, those places that have, big marketing budgets and whose events pop up in every advertised space. Those I don't include those on the calendar because of that, but there's still even more than what's on the calendar. Last summer, I think the highest day, one of the weekend dates, I had 85 events for one Saturday in the summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the people who say there's not anything to do around here, they're not looking hard enough.
That's right. Well, they're not looking in the right place because you can look really hard and still not find it. And that's the main purpose for me starting FLX Music 247. This is a conversation. Maybe we can have it just as two people on a Friday afternoon. Hey, let's go out tonight. And your question is,
Where
do you want to go?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Let's see. I like this place. Well, do they have anything going on? and you get on your phone and check, and you're like, oh, not really, or I don't see anything, or I don't think I'm interested in that group. Anything else going on? Oh, let me think of another place to go. So the calendar is an awesome tool for anyone who might want to find something new or see someone they've already heard before. They can just quickly quickly click.
Yeah.
And right in front of them are 4 or 5 different choices. Be like, this one, this one, this one, or this one. What do you say?
Yeah.
And narrow it down.
Exactly. And that goes right along with, even what you say on the website, is that you created it to bring more organization and visibility to the scene. My question is, was there a moment when that sort of clicked for you and you saw the opportunity to make the website and organize everything that's going on?
Well, the true beginning of the site came in the spring of 2021, right after COVID, when suddenly people could offer music again, because for a year and a half they could not offer any live music. I saw a lot of my friends struggle through that period of not having jobs and not being able to play, and so I'm like, what? We have to be able to present these groups, and at the time, most venues were lagging behind in, web updates or calendars, Facebook events, and that kind of thing. So a lot of stuff was being unseen. So I'm like, this is something that has to happen. If you go on any of the tourism sites and look at their calendars, they're incomplete. Mm-hmm. And if you are looking specifically for music and you don't want to, go to the knitting class, you got to go through all this information to find a few events, and they're incomplete. Mm-hmm. So, my goal every week is to grab, as many events as I can. I have paying customers. I'm still working for a lot of people for free just yet. But my purpose is for the calendar to be the best for the people that find it and want to use it.
Yeah. And so you're saying that you update the website manually every week with these 35,000 shows that happen over 2 years.
Yeah.
So you've made 35,000 updates manually to the website.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, for the venues that are my partners, they'll send me, a long list of what's going to be occurring. So that makes it fairly simple because my calendar it goes out 6 months. So I can list all the events on there, and they're saved there. So let's say you want to go somewhere, or your friends are coming in August, and you want to see what's going on. Well, you can go and look and see what's happening in August and kind of get a plan and say, this looks fun, that looks fun, and make a plan. But weekly, I go through and I update events that come on the radar. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's you could say, well, there's other ways of doing that, which there are, and more companies are doing that using geofencing and all that other kind of stuff to grab the events. The one thing I like about doing the entry myself is that I'm pretty intimate with the information. Like, I know who's who, where's where, and what's what. Yeah. With regard to the scene. So for me, that's gratifying just to have that information, be able to identify trends and talk intelligently about what's happening in the area.
Exactly. It makes you the expert. And then if you were to implement something that was to, I guess, say, scrape the websites or the Facebook or wherever those events might be posted in order to organize them in one space, then you don't know if they come over okay, or if there's typos or anything like that. Yeah. So you have to make sure the presentation is up to the standards, I'm sure, to meet the expectations of your paid partners.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some of my partners in the tourism agencies are updating their sites currently with using some of those geofencings, but they have rules, and again, they're capturing all events, not just music events. Mm-hmm. So this is just a pure little niche. This is just strictly aimed at music lovers who want to find out what's going on. And realistically, in my grand vision, I had hoped, and I think it's still possible, that the site helps become a strategic placer of music. Like I found, I'd like to have like the corridor over with, Two Goats, Grist Iron, Scale House, that whole corridor up on the east side of Seneca Lake. I'd like to see a coordinated effort with their music offering, so that there's a strategic plan for our guests and residents that love to see music.
Yeah. So these paid partners, they come to you with the events, and that's how you monetize the site with their posted events. Mm-hmm. So How does somebody become a paid partner with you? Do they just reach out
Yep.
through email and say, "Hey, I want this event posted"?
Yes, yes. Or I've reached out to many of them too. But yeah, basically send me an email. My rates are ridiculously low. I was just at a marketing summit for one of my tourism partners, and I'm like, wow. Okay, so when I approach my customers, I can be pretty confident that the value is. On the flip side, I know how many people visit my site. They might be able to tell on their webpage how many people come to them from my site, but I can't tell them how many people are showing up to their venue each week. So it's just like I equate it to putting an ad in the paper.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the paper. Yeah, it's going to be in front of 50,000, newspaper subscribers, but how many are gonna recycle it without seeing your ad or interacting with your ad? So it's just it's a promotional piece.
Yeah, and the promotional piece only does it as well as you promote the site itself, which you do, I must say, a great job, because I moved here 2 years ago. And the first thing that I knew of where to find music was FLX Music 24/7.
Great. Thanks.
So your stuff is everywhere. I don't know how you make the rounds so much to all around the Finger Lakes to see cards, stickers, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have like a team of guerrilla marketers or something to just put your cards and stickers around?
No, I just do it myself.
Wow.
I just do it myself. Well, I need to talk to my customers. It's interesting what I found in the Finger Lakes is that all of the businesses are so chummy. They're so interrelated, and the network is strong. In my prior careers, I never experienced where the competitors were your friends, if you will. So in that vein, and also with my business model, I could go forever and never meet anyone at the business that I'm working with. So I just make it a point to go there and, at least once a year get in and say hi and see what's going on and create some kind of relationship with the people that, I'm serving and who are supporting the calendar. So
wow, that's a lot of work upon everything else that you do to network like that and visit everybody in the Finger Lakes.
Yeah, well, the best part too is I think I've gotten on stage in a lot of them.
All right, okay.
So
fringe
sometimes
benefits.
I go to open mic nights and other things like that. So it's kind of a double-edged visit.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you are incredibly busy with everything that you're doing in this scene. And on top of that, you are organizing the second annual Geneva Jazz Festival coming up here at the beginning of April. Can you tell us about that and how the first year went and how it's kind of shaping up this year?
Well, so last year, I'm sure you heard of the artist Christian McBride, one of the leading bassists in the country, around the world. I noticed that he was coming to Geneva for the Scott LaFaro celebration. Now, the Scott LaFaro celebration concert is held once a year at the Smith Opera House, and I think last year was the 8th year. And when I saw that he was coming, I'm like, oh man, we just have to prepare the city for this concert. I mean, this is Christian McBride and Nujan coming to Geneva, and I have a business partner, Michael George Gonzalez, and we just put this thing together in like 90 days, and we held 20 concerts. I think we employed like 68 artists total. I've pulled one of my professional friends, Steve Davis, a trombone player. I've pulled a favor card from him, and he came to town and put on this incredible concert with some of his own band members and a few Eastman connections that he has there. And our calculations show we brought about 1,200 new people to Geneva that had never been there before, and we pretty much filled all of our partner venues with fans. It was really great. So we're doing it again.
Wow, but this time more than 90 days ahead of the show.
Well, we're still crafting a few last minute things, but yeah, we had a longer timeline. Our focus this year, we don't have a huge international headliner like we did last year, but strategically, again, we're bringing in some recent award winners from the Rochester jazz scene. Bill Tiberio and Mike Melito are leading groups for us. And then Mike Teitelbaum from the Ithaca College Jazz Studies program will be performing with Catherine Gale. And we have Melissa Gardner, who's a trombone player from Syracuse University, and also Vanessa Vicanti and the Jazz Mafia, and more. I mean, there's more. I can't even say them all. But we're having Women's Center Stage night on Thursday, our opening night. And then And then we have 8 other venues presenting smaller groups throughout the weekend. You can make your own jazz crawl, so you can basically go from one place to another and hear about an hour's worth of music and head to the next place and probably see 4 or 5 groups on Saturday and Sunday.
Man.
Yeah.
That's going to be so great.
Yeah,
And
it's fun.
It's got to be really good for just the Geneva community in general to get people in there and then do crawls and stuff like for the venues and the bars and things like that.
Yeah, we're excited because it ended up being the weekend of the eclipse, so we're expecting a huge influx of visitors to the area. So we hope to even do better than we did last year with the music program.
That's great. How exciting.
Yeah.
And I think I saw online that you're also in partnership with the Finger Lakes Independent Music Association.
Yeah, so that's my business partner, Michael George Gonzalez, and
Okay.
he's a longstanding musician in the area. He's a guitar player, vocalist, he's a producer, he's done everything, but he's a very community-minded gentleman, and he hosts weekly, the program alternates, but we do basically an open mic situation each week in Geneva, amongst other things. If you have anything to do with music, you've met Michael. He's a kind of a quiet guy behind the scenes, but he gets stuff done, and his work quality is really great. He's also our webmaster for our website at GenevaJazzFestival.com, and our social media campaign. His work is top notch, so I hope you'll be able to check that out sometime.
Great. And the Geneva Jazz Festival is happening at the beginning of April. Is there anything else that people should know about that before maybe planning their visit?
I mean, there's so much to do in the area besides just listening to the music. I mean, the wineries, the breweries, the restaurants, nature, history. You can make a day of it pretty easily.
Without a doubt, or a couple.
Yeah,
or
a
stay
couple.
for the whole festival.
Yeah, that'd be great. That would be really great. Yeah.
With all this promotion and everything that you're doing in the community, promoting other folks' music, promoting the Geneva Jazz Fest and your own events that you're putting up, since you made the FLXmusic247.com website during the pandemic, I'm wondering, in a post-COVID world, can you tell us what you've noticed about successfully promoting live shows? Is it better through traditional methods, more modern and digital methods like your website, or is it a blend?
It's got to be everything. I mean, I used to when I used to argue with my superintendent of schools, they would suggest that we try this one strategy to teach vocabulary, and I'm like, that one strategy works for about 75% of the kids, no matter what, because you're just using good methodology to address the learning needs. But for the other 25%, you got to use every single strategy you can think of, because it's going to be a blend of strategies that help you reach all of the people. So. I've been on every single person's website. I've been on every single person's Facebook page, venue, musician, everything. As with life, the inconsistencies are great. Some are a lot better than others. And, if anyone's struggling with their music program, it's definitely because of promotion. And that's the bottom line. If people are promoting their music programs through all of the available free and paid services, their music is easily discoverable. And if they're not, it isn't. Now, does that impact their day-to-day? What kind of customers do you have? You have people that are going to go there no matter what. Whoever's playing, they're just going to show up and hang out because they like the place. But I'm hoping to meet the needs of the discerning listener who's going to say, hey, I want to go there because of that musician. The musician first, then the amenities.
Yes.
So
it's like it's kind of like a team effort.
It's a team effort, definitely.
With the event websites like FLX Music 24/7, the musician and the venues, if they all come together and successfully promote their shows and their events, then maybe it's a little bit easier for people to find and come out.
But other than digitally, how do you promote music? You're a musician. What are the choices? The newspaper,
busking,
posters, printed materials, which are all, they're not, they expire too quickly, and
they're expensive.
And they're very expensive, yeah. That's the other great thing with my site. If you have a last minute change or update or whatever, you just email me or text me and I can update it immediately. So it's always fresh and it's always up to date.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It certainly is. There's a lot to it because when you're a musician, a lot of people think it's like, oh, it's just the music, right? But there's so much more.
So
to
much
it.
more.
There's promotion. There's hitting the streets and the networking that you have to do on top of all of that, and also creating content. Like you can't do anything anymore without also being a content creator on top of what you're already trying to do, because that's one way of promoting the shows, the music, who you are in general behind the scenes and things like that. How do you think of creating content for the internet as a musician and as an active member in supporting local music?
Well, it's crucial to the artist. I mean, I've been working with a few festivals like the Seneca Falls Canal Fest, and I presented my slate of bands based on my knowledge, and my committee's like, well, who are these people? And you go to their site and you try to find a good or recent video of them, and it's not available or readily available, then it's a little bit harder to place the band, if you will. And I mean, musicians at a minimum just have to have, even if it's just Facebook, they have to have current videos. The other thing that I recommend to all of my musician friends on your Facebook page is a very crisp and clear, that first sentence in the About section on Facebook. If it doesn't say what genre you're playing, I mean, sometimes I read a bio of a band and I get to the end of a 4 or 5 paragraph bio and I have no idea what kind of music they're playing. So if the band's unknown to me, how am I going to say, oh, yeah, I really love funk, I'm going to go check them out?
Yeah.
But if they never clearly state that, I mean, I'm not saying that every musician has to be pegged in a genre, but at least there has to be some written words, because I'm one of those people that when I read stuff, I get excited about what I'm reading. I'm excited about the experiences that musicians have had. I'm excited about the projects that they've worked on. And if they have that level of detail about what they've been up to, it makes me curious to find out, how good they are and if they're, worth my effort to go see them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. So you mentioned the genre and how you sort of maybe lose interest if they don't include the genre in their bio, in the band's bio. But what about those bands who, and I always think it's a little funny, and I'm guilty of this too as a musician, they hyphenate genres of all the things that they do. Does that lose people, or is that of interest, do you think?
Well, I can live with that because at least I can glean from their comments that they're gonna be influenced by different styles, right? But if somebody puts in there they play classic rock, that's pretty defining. Pretty defining genre. If you're gonna play, anytime you sneak the word reggae in there or roots or something like that, I'm like, okay, they're gonna do something cool and funky in their music, even though they're gonna be jazz influenced or funk influenced or something like that. I'm just looking for enough language around the music. Of course, it's hard to describe music lots of times using words,
Yes.
but to have enough language around what they're performing, at least to pique my interest in hearing them. I mean, as a musician, I'm looking for new stuff all the time. I want to hear some fresh and new stuff. There's some bands that I want to go back to and hear again because there was enough in their music that I feel like a second, third, 10th viewing is still going to uncover more musicality and more, skill, appeal, whatever. But I'm always looking for something that's just a little bit off the center.
Yeah.
In the music scene.
Yeah, something that you can keep coming back to. I love that too. Just searching for that new to you artist that when you listen to it, it just like flips a switch, and it's like, wow, there's something here. And then every time that you go back and listen to it, it flips a switch more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
One of those artists right now for me is Kamasi Washington, saxophone player, jazz artist, and every time I listen to him, it's just like his saxophone playing is so lyrical. It just flips a switch. I can feel it I just feel it.
Yeah.
And I feel something different every time I listen to them.
Yeah, that's cool. That's the best thing about music. Music in so many ways is like, well, some music in so many ways is like abstract art, right? You can sit every day, that painting can be in your house, and based on the different, the circumstances of the day, the light, your mood, whatever, it's a different picture. And that's what I love perhaps about jazz the most, is that it gives that freedom to explore in so many ways without limit, right? It's not a defining genre, if you will. So that's why it's my favorite.
I love it. That's great. Let's get back to talking about some of the local musicians here, and maybe they're trying to increase their reach, get more people out to their shows, and they're working with you to do that and the venues. But what is some advice that you have for musicians or other creatives trying to increase the reach of their art, both in person and online?
Well, so I'll address in person mostly because I don't have much experience with increasing reach online as far as getting their music out to
Gotcha.
other viewers. But what I've noticed just from managing the calendar, because that's what I do, is that I think our local artists can do a little bit better at spreading themselves around the area. Mm-hmm. So there's all these different pockets of venues that are even beyond the Finger Lakes region. But what I sometimes see is I'll see, you might be playing on Friday, and then on Saturday you're playing 5 miles away. Why? I mean, if someone wants to see you, wouldn't you want them to say, oh, I have to go and see him on Friday? Not like, oh, I can see him Friday or Saturday or Sunday or next week or whenever. So there's not that driving need to get out and see a performer because they just are repeat performances all around the area. Like when one venue finds out about a good new artist, you'll see that new artist is just book, just because of word of mouth or because they were in the area and they stopped in and they happen to get a date,
Yes.
and all these things. So it's such an odd thing, and I need a few more years to really be able to draw huge conclusions about things, but. It's a very small window to get yourself booked at venues.
Yes.
I mean, if you talk to someone in October, we're not doing next year yet. If you go a little later in the year, we can't because it's the holidays.
Yeah.
If you get in January, no one's home, and in February, we're booked.
Yeah, I know, right? What's
So
with that?
how does that happen? I'm not sure. So it's just interesting. And some places book out a whole year in advance.
Yep.
And some places book out next week.
Yep.
So, it's just kind of learning that. And then it's the Friends Network. You mentioned networking. It really is the Friends Network. Whenever I go places, I'm like, these people? Like, I wouldn't suspect that these people here too. How'd you get here? Kind of thing. Oh yeah, we're friends. So it's a pretty connected scene.
It really is.
It really is.
Which makes it easy to book those shows that are so close together in the same town or the same city. I'm really glad that you brought that up, so thank you, because that's something that I've been talking a lot about with my musician friends too, is how to not saturate yourself in one area, because I'm definitely guilty of it, and it's something that I had to learn with my college band, because going to RIT and booking a lot of shows in Rochester, it was just like Rochester show on Friday, Saturday, and then the next weekend, Friday, Saturday in Rochester, and then eventually people just stopped showing up. So it's about not saturating yourself in one area. What is a reasonable radius, do you feel like, for musicians to book shows so that they can play every weekend and earn a living wage without oversaturating themselves in one area?
Well, I mean, just as a rough number, I would just say that I think it might become just easier for people to get the event, right? Like, I just need to fill my calendar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because that's a hard challenge, too. You talked about all the facets of being a musician, and one of them is making sure you have enough jobs.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So on one hand, it's easy to be like, oh, will this place book me? Oh, will you book me, like, every month? I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Will you, that kind of thing. But it'd be nice to see a little bit more transference. I mean, most of the Rochester City and Syracuse City musicians are not coming to the Finger Lakes. It's like our pool of musicians is pretty well established. Really?
Yeah.
It's just there's just, events here and there where it's a different band or a new name that pops in. But, just from 2.5 years of examining it, we have our core group of musicians that get most of the jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying that there's opportunity for musicians in the Finger Lakes region to network with Syracuse and Rochester musicians and maybe introduce each other to those scenes and maybe trade shows or venues and things like that.
I think it would be beneficial, because then if you think about it, if you're a Finger Lakes person and you love your artist, well, hey, you might consider driving just a little while to go to a new place in Rochester and vice versa. I mean, Rochester is technically part of the Finger Lakes, and yet the scene is pretty tightly wound in their circle up there. Yeah. But I would also encourage venues to look beyond what's right in front of your face as well. And that's the other part. When you think about the Finger Lakes and the whole marketing for the area, the new Finger Lakes Tourism Alliance, their logo is eat, drink, play, and stay. And I'm like, we could have had, music could end up being one of the reasons that people actually come to the Finger Lakes if we designed it that way. And I think we're approaching that. I mean, with so many events, it's just that who is willing, and we do have some of those hotspots that have bigger bands and ticketed events, like you have Point of the Bluff over in Hammondsport area. You have Lincoln Hill Farms in Canandaigua. Miranda Cheese is now doing music in their barn twice a week with a little bit higher level bands. So I think there's actually opportunity for the area to infuse with even higher level groups in small settings.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I hope happens.
I do too. That's a really interesting prospect that you bring up, because I've heard some other musicians in the scene say that maybe Ithaca or some other cities in the Finger Lakes region, Geneva, places like that, could eventually become maybe a Nashville or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
So
I definitely think
you
that.
do think the opportunity
absolutely.
is there for this to be a mini Nashville or just a Nashville altogether.
Absolutely. And right now in the environment, there's enough folk artists, folk Americana singers, that it could already be a thing if we, if people knew about it, right? I'm hoping to create a jazz center.
Yes.
Outside of the city. With the winery business industry in our area and the breweries and now the distilleries and all the amenities that come with that, I mean, it's the perfect blend. And I'd like to see some, national, international acts land, again, in intimate performing spaces so that you get a really special kind of situation. I mean, nothing better than sitting 10 feet away from an incredible professional musician and just being able to watch them and hear them that close.
Yes, you're right. The makings of a special scene, all of the workings are here for it.
Yeah.
Like you say, the wineries, the breweries, the distilleries. People come to this area just to experience those too, so why not also experience the local music?
Yeah.
As well. So there's huge opportunity there, and I would love to see this area become like another mini Nashville or a Nashville altogether.
And we have such a wide geographical area to present it in too.
That's true.
And it really stretches out. It benefits a lot of potential venues and different places that present music.
It kind of reminds me of what you're saying when you put it like that. You're saying that we could potentially have a Finger Lakes music trail like there's a Finger Lakes wine trail.
We're already positioned for it, to tell you the truth, because, again, not to quote the map, but starting with the State Theater and the Hangar Theater in Ithaca, you have the Bristol Valley Theater in Naples, you have the Auburn Public Theater in Auburn. You have the Smith Opera House in Geneva.
Homer Center of the Arts.
Homer Center of the Arts now. I'm also on the board for the new Seneca Falls Performing Arts Center that's going to come on board in the next 24 months. So we have a network of theater spaces that are already big enough to launch large events. And then if we can just get some synergy with the smaller ones, I mean, having a weekend where there's 20 music events is a great thing.
Yes.
It gives people a lot of options and another reason to come.
Yeah, and like a crawl sort of thing. Like you're organizing for the Geneva Jazz Festival, and all of this can be organized right there on your website, flxmusic247.com. People can go there and see everything for this Finger Lakes music trail. I really like the possibilities that are available to the region and also through your website to make all of this happen.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that can happen. I mean, it's the seeds that start, right? And then next thing you know, it is something. That's exactly how the whole region has developed. Most recently, especially in the last. Well, interestingly enough, when I did, I also do a podcast on Finger Lakes One in the summer to highlight, the hot spots, the hot shots, the tried and true, and the something new, and then also give some information about some area festivals coming up. But when I did a segment on Keuka Lake, which is one of our western neighbors. Of the 10 places I highlighted, 8 of them were less than 5 years old.
Wow, okay.
So
it's still a pretty new scene.
It's a really new scene. So I think, they're hoping for continued growth, and so am I. Yeah. So
with that, what is your motivation for FLXmusic247.com in the future?
Well, just that, just to be known as the spot to go and look for music. I mean, I'm just doing it because I love music, number one. I love musicians, lots of them, and I love the Finger Lakes. And because of those three things, I just want to make sure that people that want to find stuff can find it easily. And that's it.
Well, I know I appreciate everything that you're doing. It makes it very easy to find out what's going on, and I know a lot of folks listening and watching appreciate what you're doing too. So thank you for everything that you do, and please keep up the great work.
All right. Thanks so much, Jeremiah.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. Please, everybody, links are in the description if you want to learn more about FLXmusic247.com. Why not visit it every weekend just to see what's going on? Just make it part of the routine. If you want to hear more about what we offer here at Well Said Media, you can go to wellsaidmedia.com and learn more about our video production services. Thank you so much for watching and listening today.